The thoughts, opinions, and general overall shade thrown on High at 9 News are those of the individual speakers and not those of High at 9 News, its audience, or its advertisers. The statements made do not constitute medical, legal, or financial advice, and for advice tailored to your specific situation, please consult with a licensed professional. Welcome to the High at 9 News Hour, where you will hear from cannabis industry experts and professionals from around the country talk about important topics while shining light on global issues and discussing cannabis as it relates to politics, regulation and reform, data and technology, science, research and medicine, family and parenting, art, celebrities and entertainment, fitness, sports, mental health and wellness, and plant-based medicines and entheogenics. Together, we are building a stronger community, fighting the stigma and creating change. With your hosts, Jason Beck and Rico Lamitte, joined by special industry expert correspondents from around the country, and daily antics brought to you by Cannabis. Coming to you live every Monday through Friday at 9 a.m. Pacific time and high noon on the East Coast. And thank you all for getting high at 9 with us.
Yeah.
Oh, there we
We've all seen that.
There they are. There they are. Good morning, everybody. That's right. It is Monday, February 24th, and today is National Tortilla Chip Day.
What's up, Sean Kiernan?
What do you think? What do you got to say about that, Rico?
We're in.
Tortilla chips?
Yeah, tortilla chips, bro.
Yeah, I'm not your ordinary tortilla.
Oh boy, that's cute. That's cute. That's cute. Anyways, thank you all for joining us and getting high at 9 with us. It's also high noon on the East Coast. And please remember to like, share, and subscribe to us on all social media platforms. You can look up above and down below to see exactly where we live on the internet. And we are live every Monday through Friday on YouTube, Rumble, Twitch, X, Instagram, Facebook, as well as on Kick and on our very own website at www.highat9news.com. So welcome to everyone joining us from any one of those platforms. And we are going to kick it off with the dope dad himself, Mr. Rico Lamitte, the man with his hat to the back because his hair is super flat today. That's right. It is the dope dad himself, Mr. Rico Lamitte.
Thank you, Jason. My hat is to the back because there's green on the inside of it. It just puts a big blank spot on the top of my face. But if you want to call it the way you want to call it, you always want to talk shit about my hair, man, because you just don't understand black hair. It's okay. Say that.
I understand black hair. Jason. I understand black hair.
Say that. Say that, man. It's okay.
I'm probably the biggest understander of black hair.
It's okay to ask questions when you're lost. Ask for directions when you're lost, Jason.
I'm never lost.
That's a hard thing.
I'm like navigation.
You might be lost, and you can find yourself in Delaware. And if you do find yourself in Delaware for whatever reason, end up at the bar in Delaware for whatever other reason or reasons, you just might be pleasantly surprised to find a little something extra on the tap, with a few more hops than your favorite IPA. That's right, because according to Ryan Cormier of Delaware News Journal, Delaware bars, restaurants, and liquor stores have begun selling THC-infused cocktails, even with the legality of said drinks being sold remaining very unclear. Per the article, canned cannabis drinks, including cocktails, seltzers, cannabis waters, and with doses ranging anywhere between 5 and 20 milligrams per can, are found pretty much everywhere in Delaware right now. Brands such as Delta Light nowadays, and Peach and John are all available through their legal though their legal status remains in a gray area as state regulators work with various agencies to develop a definitive regulatory framework in the incoming months. While distributors claim that the products are USDA tested, they're USDA tested, okay, and legal under federal 2018 Farm Bill and state law, state officials caution that unlicensed sales could face penalties until clear regulations are in place. When asked if the practice was legal or not, state officials declined to say outright whether it's illegal to sell these types of cannabis drinks in Delaware. However, the governor's office provided this guidance from DATE and OMC. The unlicensed sale of marijuana is illegal. You think? The source of these THC beverages is unknown. While the products are reportedly tested and in compliance with federal law, the testing source has not been validated by the state. Without state validation, the safety and compliance of these products remain uncertain. We strongly recommend avoiding these products until further regulations are established. Retailers are assuming a significant risk regarding the legality and safety of these products if tested, and found non-compliant retailers may face civil or criminal penalties. In addition, the state office of the Alcoholic Beverage Control Commissioner Jacqueline Parody Mate sent a letter to all licensees on October 8th after the State Department of Justice issued a cease and desist to all the letters to all the businesses it determined was unlawfully selling these products containing THC. But it seems that the producers, distributors, and retailers all just do not give a fuck. You can find these drinks at any corner and or liquor store. Delta and Nowadays cans are even found on the bar at an upscale hot spot downtown Wilmington called Tonic and Seafood and Steak, where your average plate is over $60. They've been selling these THC infused drinks since mid-January, and it doesn't look like they're going to stop. The consumers interviewed in the article all seem to be embracing these drinks as lower calorie alternative way to catch a buzz, and the local establishments seem to be taking measures seriously to ensure responsible consumption. So I guess everybody's just like, whatever about it, you know. It kind of makes sense. This is going down in Delaware, state known for Joe Biden and letting any damn body get a business license who wants one. So I can't lie, I kind of love it. I kind of love this shit. They're self-policing. They're doing okay. I don't know how much longer this is going to last, but do your thing, Delaware. I like it. I'm Rico Lamitte, the dopest dad on the street for High at 9 News. Hear from the rest of the team. Jason, I know you're not a fan of these cannabis drinks, but they're self-regulating down there, and they seem to be doing all right.
Is that what you call it? Is that how you define it? Doing all right?
They doing all right.
That'd be a good name. That'd be a good name for one of these beverage brands. Doing all right. You know what I'm saying?
They're doing all right.
Mm-hmm.
They're doing all right.
Mm-hmm. Just open up a can and you'll be doing all right. I can see it already.
Put a can in your hand. You can do all right. You're not doing good. You're not doing great, but you're all right. All right.
Yeah.
Jason's ready to sell some advertising already.
Yeah. It's Monday, bro. It's the most important day of the week, Jesse.
We're getting going.
Yes. Sean, can you turn your camera sideways for us? We want to see get the full. There we go. 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 Thank you, Sean.
That boy in the big.
Yeah. We're doing great. How are you today, Sean?
Always good when I'm with you, Jason.
That's what I'm talking about. See that? Look at that right there, Sean. What do you think about this whole beverage debacle, and especially the fact that it's coming out of Delaware? You know, Hunter Biden's hometown.
Listen, the geniuses on the left and right have given us 3 cannabis markets: the legal cannabis market that are state-driven, the national hemp, farm bill, which has given us hemp. Thank God, it's been probably the biggest, most impactful cannabis legislation ever. Thank you, Mitch McConnell, or Marijuana Mitch.
Marijuana. Don't forget to thank Trump, because he's the one that signed it.
No? Yes, thank you. That's what they were doing. Bottom line is, I think it's a disaster. Not just Delaware, it's everywhere. But the positive thing about the Farm Bill is it normalized cannabis like no other bill. I mean, I can smoke in Texas. I can walk down the street. Remember, I got raided by the DEI in 2015 because I was
raided by the DEI.
Yeah.
I bet you did.
Yeah. And it's laughable. It's sad. It really is, especially because we could have wonderful cannabis markets. We could have great economies, and we just have total failed leadership on all sides of the spectrum.
Right on.
That is true. We do have a lot of failed leadership going on. That's for sure. Jesse, what do you think about all this beverages debacle? I mean, maybe those reports were right. You know what I'm saying? Beverage sales are going to be through the roof because of things like this.
Well, they're serving it in the bar.
Yeah,
man, they're serving it everywhere, in the bars, in the liquor stores, in the grocery stores, like everywhere you can buy beer. You can buy these cans of All Right.
It sounds to me like a recipe for disaster. Somebody's going to get drunk and have a DUI and be super crossfaded and do something really stupid and really bad, and it's not going to fall on alcohol.
Shout out to the crossfade.
Jesse's just mad over here, man.
Shout out to the crossfade.
Free. I thought you were a libertarian, Jesse Barney.
I am libertarian. You can do whatever you want, but when you're risking harming other people, the whole thing about being libertarian is the non-aggression principle. So anytime that what your actions are doing are going to possibly cause aggression towards someone else or cause the harm of someone else, that's not libertarianism. That is something that should be stopped. So yeah, that's just a bad thing. I think like you're going to go out to the bar, drink a bunch of drinks that have alcohol and cannabis in them, maybe stay there for 3 or 4 hours, possibly be super wasted. And then you're going to leave and possibly get in, or more than likely get in some kind of accident or get pulled over. And guess what? They're not going to say, oh, it was alcohol's fault. They're going to say, oh, he did a bunch of cannabis while at the bar too. That's going to be the story.
Well, Jesse, from the article, it seems that this gentleman that wrote the article was getting interviews with people from all sides of it, and everybody just seems to be okay with it. They said they have not had any problems. They've been pretty good at self-regulating themselves and making sure people are not over-consuming, and there's no real complaints from the locals either. They're just rolling with it.
Yeah, that'll work until someone gets in an accident.
Yep. It
doesn't sound very libertarian to me, Jesse. It sounds very communist. You're trying to put the clamps on these motherfuckers, man. Like these Delawareans just trying to live their lives, and you just trying to put more rules on them, man.
I don't want rules on them. I want the non-aggression principle to be put into place, which means if you're risking people's lives by your actions, that is not legal, period. It's a very simple rule.
You letting people drive a car who can barely see, then that's you should stop them from driving too, huh?
No shit.
You should stop some old ladies from walking across the street without somebody helping.
Oh, I thought you were talking about other people. I thought you were talking about other people.
Like,
that is not the same thing.
Let these Delawareans
crossing the street is not dangerous to anyone. That is not the same thing. Let these Delawareans
police themselves, man. I think that's a good thing.
Sure, until someone hits someone and kills them.
Yeah, and in all fairness, there was a couple of stories like that in the news today, but chose not to cover those in particularly today.
Not in Delaware.
Yeah. Maybe one was. I didn't go and look for the whole location scout of this whole thing.
Man, they're doing all right in Delaware, man.
Oh,
quit hating on them, bro.
Rico must be getting paid off by some beverage company or something today.
Let's just wait for the first story out of Delaware where somebody hits somebody and kills them, and they're on cannabis and
you won't even know,
and alcohol from drinking them at the bar.
Shout out to the Cole memo.
They're gonna have a Delaware license. They're gonna have a Delaware business license. You can't even track them, bro. Let them do what they do.
Shout out to the Cole memo with a big old super chat who says cannabis use at bars isn't anything new.
Well, that's obviously true.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, I always smoked in the back parking lot.
That
doesn't
problem. Mean I support it. I don't think it's smart
I support
to
it.
drive. Look, using
I'm
cannabis
here for it.
and alcohol at the bar is
I'm
one
all
thing.
about
That's
that.
fine. But we all know that a lot of people get in cars and drive after the fact. That is the thing that is risky. And so I'm just saying that, yeah, doing this is fine. Do it all day. Walk home. But we know that there's a lot of people that aren't going to. And that's when we're going to have a problem.
Well, there's plenty of stupid people in the world, Jesse. We can't protect ourselves from all of them.
Police right now, bro.
Yeah. Yeah, you sound like the fun police.
Fun police. These people just trying to have a good time, bro.
Yeah. I wish I had a siren on my soundboard, and you know what I'm saying?
So you're supporting people getting in cars and driving after drinking and smoking weed at the same
That's not
time.
what I'm saying. I am supportive. I'm supportive. Hold on, Jesse. You know what? Actually, I am as long as those are Ubers or Lyfts or ride shares or whatever. I'm all for that.
In the absence,
they got to get home somehow.
Already happening. In the absence of any crime or any problems already happening, I say let them do what they do. Let them have their fun, man.
Yeah. Let live.
You think it's fine for people to get in? Wait. You think it's fine for people to get in a car and drive after drinking?
Nobody is doing that. You're putting together straw man arguments and these hypotheticals. Nobody's doing that.
Not a straw man argument. That's a very real possibility, and it will happen.
Hey, it is. Is it anywhere in this story?
In all fairness, let
them drink. They drank.
In all fairness, Jesse, Delaware is such a small state. You know what I'm saying? It's not like there's a lot of roads for people to drive on in the first place. I mean, I'm sure pretty much everyone can walk to a bar because the state's so small.
Only person driving in Delaware is Joe Biden, and one of them.
He's not driving. He's getting driven.
But shout out, somebody will hit Joe Biden.
Yeah, but shout out to the Cole Memo who says the Cole Memo threw in another super chat who says Rico's Cannabis Cola rolling out soon.
Yeah, man.
Oh,
it's
yeah.
All right. Everything.
No, I'm a huge fan. I'm a huge fan of the drinks, and I'm a huge fan of people drinking them. I just am saying that the moment someone gets in a car and drives and hits somebody, they're gonna blame cannabis, not the alcohol.
Jesse, you're right about that. What are you saying, Sean?
They're already blaming cannabis.
Yep, exactly. They're already doing it. So since they're gonna blame cannabis, we're gonna roll into our first commercial while they continue to blame cannabis, and we're gonna be right back.
Oh man, your knees still bothering you, man?
Yeah, I left one, you know? But I'll tell you what, I've been using this new CBD cream, and it works like a miracle.
CBDs? I done heard about them CBDs. I was out there on them Twitters the other day, and I heard they get you high as a kite.
Well, not this stuff. This stuff is tested. Every batch, all the way through, pharmaceutical grade. And in a GMP certified facility, so you know you're not going to have to worry about flying high.
GMP certified? I might have to try some of this out. Where am I even find this?
You go directly to aimhighhemp.com and they will ship it to your door right away. Test it. It's not a name, it's a promise.
Choose for you.
Viagra.
Yes. Yes, and we are back, you guys. We are back.
We're back like we left something. Up next is the king of Delaware himself. The man who comes down and is all right this morning, I would say so. The High at 9 News head honcho. I'm here to shit on anybody's ideas for marijuana seltzers, but we'll big up anybody that's dropping $1 or $2 for some parody gummies.
All day.
Here to break us off with our second story of the day, none other than Jason.
Oh, yes. Good morning, everybody. Happy Monday, you guys. Happy Monday. We are rocking and rolling. And man, let me tell you, I got some great news to share with you guys. That's right, because the boss, you know what I'm saying? That's right. President Trump, he appoints Alice Marie Johnson as the pardon czar during the Black History Month event at the White House, you guys. That's right. President Donald J. Trump on Thursday appointed Alice Marie Johnson, a woman he pardoned during his first term as pardon czar. The announcement came during Black History Month event at the White House, and the pardon czar will be responsible for making recommendations about who should be granted clemency. The New York Times first reported Trump was thinking about naming Johnson as the pardon czar, and Johnson was convicted of nonviolent drug trafficking in Memphis, Tennessee, after serving 21 years of her life sentence was commuted by President Donald J. Trump. Reality television star Kim Kardashian and Kanye West met with Trump at the White House a week prior to her release to discuss the great-grandmother's case, and she was arrested in 1993 and convicted of drug conspiracy and money laundering in 1996. 1996. A series of unfortunate events, including the death of her son, financial troubles, and a divorce, led to her involvement with cocaine dealers. And back in the 1990s, she says, "I was a single mother about to lose my house," Johnson wrote in a Fox News digital opinion article. "In a desperate moment, I made a life-altering bad decision to become a low-level player in a drug operation. When law enforcement authorities broke up the drug operation, I was prosecuted and sentenced to life in prison," she says. While Johnson claims she never touched, saw, or sold a single drug, she admitted to assisting in communications. While in prison, she worked in the prison hospice, volunteered in the prison church, and became an ordained minister, and started writing and directing plays. After being pardoned, she remained under federal supervision for 5 years, and she became a champion for overburdened case officers and has fought against unnecessary supervision post-incarceration. Her work on criminal justice reform led to her launch, Taking Action for Good, which advocated for clemency and pardons for over 100 people. She also published a book, partnered with the philanthropic organization Stand Together, you guys. And shout out to Miss Alice Johnson, my good friend. I know I texted her on Friday to congratulate her on this and let her know I'm looking forward to working with her in her new role in this administration. And I can't wait to hear what you guys have to say. And I actually hosted an event for Miss Alice Johnson when she was released, and in America's Living Room at Trump International Hotel. And I have some pictures to share with you guys from this day when we hosted her welcome home party over in America's Living Room. And I think Anthony is pulling those up right now. We're gonna shuffle through some of these for you guys. What do you guys got to say about all this?
I guess it's just DEI when it's temporary, huh?
What? What are you talking about?
It's DEI. Like yo, I'm trying to be positive on this shit, but the pardons are for just 1 month. Like all this other like.
What do you mean the pardons are for 1 month? That's not What are you talking? It's not for 1 month.
Dude, all this anti-DEI, everything else, they almost accidentally canceled Black History Month. Why not give her a permanent position? How about that? That is
a permanent position. It's not for 1 month. I don't know where you got that from.
The title of the story, they gave her the pardons are for Black History Month.
Yes, it was at a Black History Month event at the White House where he announced that she's going to become the pardon czar, Rico. It's not a 1 month position. This is a position throughout the tenure of his presidency.
Is it safer to get arrested? Are you likely to get out quicker being arrested for cannabis in Russia than the U.S.?
Right now you are.
Oh, that's a fair statement.
They popped another dude last week. You seen that?
Yeah, I'm sure we'll exchange some murdering thug, drug dealer, arms dealer for him.
Yeah. I don't know, man. I don't know. I'm neutral in this story because it's all DEI unless Trump put him in place.
Stop the ridiculousness, bro. You're such a hater.
Wow, how's it not? Such a stretch.
Yeah, it's such a stretch, bro. You should be Stretch Armstrong.
Real quick though, Jason, not to be anti-Trump, because I think both sides are ridiculous. But at some point, some of these appointments are a hell of a lot less qualified than the DEI appointments they're railing against. I mean, Pete Hegseth as Secretary of Defense, Lord have mercy. That guy has no qualifications.
I totally disagree with that assessment. I think you're totally wrong off that. You're totally off your meds on that one.
Except we actually have data to back it up. Explain to me what Pete Hegseth.
We're not here talking about Pete Hegseth right now, Sean. We're talking about Alice Marie Johnson as the pardons are.
I think you brought that up, so we're talking about that. Rico, did I go off base or was it legitimate?
You're off base.
You're right on base.
You're way off base,
Jason's
bro.
Trying to silence me. That's what it is. Censor. The Trump censor machine is in high gear.
You're so full. No one's censoring you, Sean.
Just I love the spin.
Yeah, that's cute. Great. That's cute. That's real cute. Real cute.
Yeah,
what do you got to say on this, Jesse?
Bro, backspin. Backspin. No, man, I think, listen, man, I'm all for, Alice, Miss Alice getting this job and all that stuff. But this is under the entire pretense of everything they have been openly speaking against. So I'm confused.
Stay confused, bro. You're going to be,
why are you excluding the possibility that she could possibly have merit? And that it's only because she's Black.
Exactly.
Why are you looking at the merit
I don't think you're qualified to understand my answer, Jesse.
That's not an answer to my question.
Exactly. As a black man in Black History Month, I don't think you're just not going to understand. So I think if we had more black people with us today, I think they would stand with me and say, "What?"
I think you're batshit crazy today.
Yeah, this whole thing, like, huh?
I think you're totally batshit crazy. Yeah.
Make it make sense.
Yeah, exactly. You're just gaslighting today, Rico. It's all right.
No, you're not gonna. Y'all just will not get it because you're not black. If you were a black person, you read this headline like, huh?
No.
So you're saying that it's impossible for us to have any brains or understanding.
It's especially after firing the Joint Chiefs of Staff because he was a quote unquote DEI hire, and then you're like, oh, we're gonna give
the Joint Chiefs of Staff was not fired. Was not fired because of that.
Because it's Black History Month.
The Joint
the pardons are.
No, that's totally ridiculous.
Okay.
The Joint Chiefs of Staff was not fired because of DEI. The Joint Chiefs of Staff was fired because they were trying to put together a soft coup. Okay, go ahead, Sean. Go ahead, Sean.
Wait, you just said something.
Called him a DEI hire.
What are you talking about, Jason? Do you have news to break here? Do we have a coup going on?
Oh yeah, there was a soft coup going on, and you can find that all the whole thing on James O'Keefe's page. I saw the whole thing.
It was a soft coup. One of them that's one of those SUV coupes. Was a soft
you know what?
coup?
We're gonna roll right into our next commercial. Seeing as how you guys have nothing positive to say, I can't believe you guys have nothing positive to say about this. Congratulations, Miss Alice Johnson. Again, you're gonna stay confused. Yeah, congratulations, Alice. This. I can't believe you guys are just such haters.
One of us, in terms of a cannabis person, it's good news, but the administration is full of a lot of prohibitionists and hatred for what we stand for. So it's mixed news right now.
You guys are just you guys never see. You guys are just so lost. You guys have TDS so bad. But nonetheless, we are going to roll right in to Mr. Jesse Barney.
All of us dropped to our knees so quickly.
I don't ever bend a knee. Know that, and you know that.
Man.
Yeah,
I ain't got no knee pads in my crib, bro.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't. Yeah, my name's not Colin Kaepernick, bro. So, nonetheless, we are going to roll right on in to Mr. Jesse Barney. He's the founder of JB Design Co. out there in the great state of Washington. He does branding, he does designing, and he can help take your brand to the next level. That's right, it is none other than the one and only Jesse Barney.
Yeah. All right. Well, my story comes straight from the Cole Memo, who is hanging out in the comments I saw. So thanks, Cole. This is right out of Illinois. And here we go. Headline is Criminal Law Committee in the Illinois Senate votes to advance bill to ban vehicle searches based on the smell of cannabis. And I probably won't read this entire article because it is quite long and very detailed and extensive, but I'm going to get probably to the part where the canines and the cops talk about it's pretty funny. All right. So on Tuesday, February 19th, an Illinois Senate committee voted 7-3 to advance Senate Bill 42, which would eliminate the requirement that cannabis be transported in vehicles in an odor-proof container. The bill was scheduled for its second reading in the Senate on February 20th, 2025. However, at the time of writing this article, it remains unclear whether the reading actually took place. The bill was introduced following an Illinois Supreme Court ruling which affirmed the state's odor-proof container requirement for cannabis remains enforceable. In its ruling, the court acknowledged that the between noting the number of witness slips submitted. Witness slips allow citizens and representatives of businesses or organizations to express support or opposition to proposed legislation. This process provides a rare opportunity for direct public participation, either through written statements or oral testimony. The chair reported that 338 slips were filed in support of the bill, 98 in opposition, and 3 with no position. In other words, it's just overwhelmingly in support. So notably, the majority of those who filed in opposition were either active or retired law enforcement officers or members of law enforcement organizations. Ooh, who could have seen that coming? The hearing began with an opening statement by the main sponsor of the legislation, Senator Rachel Ventura. Senator Ventura explained that SB 42 would make 2 key changes. It would eliminate the requirement for cannabis to be transported in an odor-proof container and would restrict law enforcement from conducting vehicle or personal searches based solely on the smell of cannabis, whether raw and burnt. And that's kind of the key here, is that it's all about whether or not they can use it all alone. It cannot just be the smell alone. They can use it if there's other things that go along with it, and we'll get into that. She shared a background on the Illinois Supreme Court's rulings and detailed how the court consolidated 2 cases with opposing appellate rulings, only to later separate them for individual decisions. Senator Ventura said, "A recent state Supreme Court ruling gave a conflicting directive between raw and burnt cannabis, shifting a huge burden to law enforcement to know the difference. This bill aims to clean up that court ruling by directing law enforcement to consider all factors, not just odor, in deciding if the law has been broken." She explained that the rulings place an unreasonable expectation on law enforcement, requiring officers to distinguish between the smell of burnt and raw cannabis. She also pointed out that hemp smells identical to raw marijuana. This means officers are being asked to differentiate between hemp and marijuana, both of which are cannabis but have different legal classifications. Senator Ventura clarified that her bill would not prohibit law enforcement from using odor as a factor in a vehicle search, as long as it was considered alongside other circumstances. Ventura reiterated that her legislation would simply make it so that the smell of raw or burnt cannabis alone could not be used as justification to search a person or their vehicle. Senator Ventura then invited a representative from the ACLU to speak on the issue. The representative mentioned that while the ACLU had filed a witness slip as no position on the bill, they would support the legislation with the addition of Amendment 1 to SB 42. They explained that without this amendment, the bill could inadvertently give law enforcement another reason to stop drivers and check their age. The ACLU representative highlighted an interesting statistic. Only 1.5% of all traffic stops actually result in police finding any contraband. That is very interesting. I was unable to find whether they found this statistic, where they found this statistic, and I didn't note if they cited their source. I'd love to know where they got it from. Representatives of law enforcement also provided oral testimony during the hearing, arguing that the legislation seeks to overturn the most recent Illinois Supreme Court ruling, and in doing so would negatively impact law enforcement officers, police service dogs, and put the public at risk. That is hilarious. A retired officer who identified as an expert with 24 years of experience in canine handling testified about the capabilities of police dogs. He stated that canine officers possess an odor detection capacity that is 10,000 to 100,000 times greater than that of an average human. Law enforcement representatives also expressed concern that SB 42 would create a friction point for officers. Law enforcement representatives testified that fentanyl being laced into marijuana is something that is a major concern with regard to this topic. To support their claims, they cited an article from the Washington Examiner. They argued that removing the odor-proof container requirement would significantly hinder their ability to protect Illinois residents from dangerous substances. I'm going to stop it there. it's pretty hilarious that that's what they bring up to defend this odor law and keeping it something that they can do. The fact that they're saying that it's fentanyl-laced cannabis and that the ability to search someone just based on the smell of cannabis is going to lead to them finding all these other drugs, and it's like it's some major crackdown, is just absolutely a joke to me. But I'd love to toss it over to my fellow correspondents and see what they have to say.
Oh man, go ahead, Sean. Go ahead, Sean.
The floor is yours. This last minute, the comment on fentanyl, it brings up a bigger question. When did we go from big pharma killing us with the overdose and opiate epidemic to blaming brown people south of the border and in China again on fentanyl? That's all this discussion has become. As we see, is the absurdity of the argument. Reefer madness, call it. It's more like absurd madness. We've got going on. None of this is based on science. None of this is based on anything other than bigotry and hatred. And it's just more of the same we keep getting.
Well, I like that at least, the majority of the people that showed up that weren't law enforcement agree with you, Sean, clearly.
Mm-hmm. But it brings up, when you have a country that's supposed to be, a republic or a democratic system, what is it, 70+% of Americans want legal cannabis?
80, over 80.
Why? And
over
we know
80.
why. Because our government's for sale, and big pharma and the prohibition complex owns our politicians, plain and simple. Nothing's going to change.
But AOC says tax the rich.
AOC is your least of your issues on cannabis prohibition.
Speaking of which, I'm not sure if this is true, but Brandon Krieger in this says, don't forget the fact that the cop perjured himself by bringing in a fake jar that he definitely didn't buy from the dispensary.
Do you guys remember that cop who said he on camera was fell down and doing the kicking chicken, and they blamed it on, I guess, touching fentanyl? And every doctor in the world came up and said that isn't an overdose. We don't know what the hell was wrong with them, but the police kept on pushing that. The ignorance that we elect. What amazes me, if I call up the press with factual information, they look at me like, well, we got to do our due diligence and vet it and make sure it's real. Get the shit they put on with regards to this. I mean, it's just the whole system's a fraud.
Mm-hmm. I agree with you. The whole war on drugs needs to stop, but fentanyl is an epidemic. And hold on. Let me finish. Let me finish. Hold on, Sean. Hold on, Sean. Hold on, Sean. One person talks and then someone else talks, and that's how it kind of works over here. I know you haven't been here for a while, so
I understand.
Yeah. So as I was saying, this whole fentanyl laced marijuana thing is a total freaking sham job. Okay, they have no positive reports of this happening. There has been one where it was a guy that was weighing weed on a scale that had fentanyl on it, and that's the only report that has showed any positive trace of any of this being a reality in all of the reports. And the Cole memo says in a comment, it says, it is crazy how the police are basically saying that cannabis users can be collateral damage in their continued war on drugs. And he also says, if the people want to see the picture of the jar that Brandon is referencing, it is on my article. And he claimed it was something he bought from the dispensary, but it was labeled as a gummy product. Interesting. Yeah,
I forgot that was at the end of the story. That was an important part, because he did bring out the jar and he passed it around the room to prove that nobody could smell it, because nobody could. And then there was all this disparity between what was even actually in the jar and where he got it from and how he even brought it in there.
If you're gonna bring a jar, and you're gonna be like, hey, there's fentanyl in here, and you'd be like, here, pass it around and see if you can smell the fentanyl in here. In order to know, in order to be able to smell fentanyl, you have to know what fentanyl smells like. And so that's kind of like what the cops used to do with the DARE program, when they bring all the drugs into class on the board, and then they ask the kids which one, who knows what this is, and then that way they know whose house to go raid, because they're obviously they're getting it from their parents. You know what I mean? This is freaking bad. Go ahead, Sean. It's all yours. Go ahead. The floor is yours.
Jason, Mr. Trump, cannabis czar himself. When are we going to get Doge at the DEA?
Let me tell you something, bro. They're right now, they're getting ready to do Fort Knox this week, okay? And then after that, it's coming soon. Don't worry. Every agency is going to get a knock on the door.
It's more important than the poor people being arrested and destroyed.
You know, Sean, I'm not baiting into yours and Rico's gaslighting today. It's so cute.
Where's Rico? Did you kick him off?
Yeah, Rico has a meeting. He has meetings on Mondays that he has to leave. He has to leave mid-show. Yeah. It is what
Sean,
it is.
Trust us. The glove is coming on, and the proctology exam is about to happen.
Yeah, and congratulations to Cash Patel on his confirmation. You know what I'm saying? And all I have to say about that, Sean, is cash me outside. How about that? And on that, we're gonna roll into our next commercial, and we're gonna be right back. I just ordered the summertime strawberry salad when added steak on top here at Anna's. Make sure you do the same thing too next time you're in downtown Long Beach. Come on down and check out Anna's joint on the 400 block of Pine Street. They have amazing selection of beers, foods, and when you come down here to Anna's, you can even challenge me to a game of shuffleboard if you want to lose. Did you get that? So, next time you're in downtown Long Beach on Pine Avenue, make sure you stop by Anna's Joint on the 400 block. Not only do they have Anna's Joint, this restaurant and bar, but they also have the amazing deli next door, and then next door to that, they have a very exotic flower shop. You may want to stop by and say hi. All right, and we are back. Stop whatever you're doing. Make sure you smash that like button. I know we'll appreciate it. You'll appreciate it, and YouTube will appreciate it. Also, make sure you subscribe to the channel if you're not subscribed already. And all of the articles that we cover on today's show, you can read directly on our website at www.highat9news.com. And I do want to remind everyone in Southern California, we do have a special election coming up on February 25th. It's just, that is tomorrow, basically. And make sure that you vote for Tony Strickland for California Senate while you're in that ballot box. Are you a business that's suffering from the hyperinflation that is plaguing America today? We have the solution for you. That's right, Patriot Business Financing. Head on over to www.patriotbfc.com and apply for a loan up to $2 million. Any state, any industry, even the cannabis industry, the CBD industry, as well as the industrial hemp fiber industry. Secure up to $2 million today, and make sure that when you apply, you tell Paul you said hi from High at 9. Oh, and we are back, you guys, and we are going to roll right in to our guest correspondent on today's Monday, Mr. Sean Kiernan. Sean Kiernan is the founder of Weed for Warriors, the largest and probably most powerful veterans organization for cannabis reform in the country. That's right. It is the old man with a gray beard who often during wintertime impersonates Santa Claus. That's right. It is none other than Mr. Sean Kiernan.
Thank you, Jason. Well, my story today is more back to the whole war on hemp. Texas Senator files bill to ban THC intoxicating hemp products. Senator Charles Perry, a Lubbock Republican, is sponsoring legislation that Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick is pushing as a top legislative priority this season. Texas State Senator filed the legislation on February 20 that would deliver a knockout blow to the state's multi-billion-dollar hemp industry if enacted. The legislation, Senate Bill 3, aims to ban all consumable hemp products containing any form of THC, while leaving in place the state's low THC medical cannabis program that incorporates a 1% THC cap under the state's compassionate use program. What a waste. Under the bill, license holders would not be allowed to manufacture consumable hemp products containing any amount of cannabinoid other than the non-intoxicating CBD or CBG, according to the bill. This means products containing Delta 8 or Delta 9 derived from hemp would be outlawed in Texas. Texas Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick, who listed SB 3 last month as one of his top priorities, so many more important things to do in Texas. First, keep the power on. First, announced the legislation in December when he accused retailers of exploiting the state's industrial hemp program law from 2019 to sell life-threatening unregulated forms of THC to the public. This sounds like some California dispensary owners saying this. These stores not only sold to adults, but they targeted Texas children, exposed them to dangerous levels of THC. The Texas legislature passed the 2019 law to authorize the commercial production and manufacturing, retail sale, and inspection of industrial hemp products following the legalization of hemp in the Mitch McConnell 2018 Farm Bill. Marijuana Mitch, thank God. Perry was the primary sponsor for the Senate version of that in 2019. I'm going to end it there because there's not much more here, but basically the problem is that they're looking to turn criminal penalties a third-degree felony to manufacture or sell hemp products with cannabinoids other than CBD or CBG, and then list 2-class misdemeanors if you possess it or ship it. Again, this is just insanity. This is why Doge needs to get into the DEA or into the state of Texas, because at no point in the history of drugs has prohibition worked. Drug use is as wide as ever. Drugs are as cheap as ever, and is as available as ever, and it is dangerous as ever, more dangerous because they're being cut because we don't have pure sources, and we're spending $40 billion a year on cannabis prohibition in this country. Absolutely waste of money, an absolute embarrassment to our leaders in our country that we still have this going on. And the fact that Doge and Trump and Elon are not there, one, really undermines the credibility of what they're doing, in my opinion. I'll leave it at that.
Oh man, they have federal government and state government, and hopefully we can bring Doge to state governments for state audits too one day, Sean. Hopefully.
So that was our idea. Stop stealing it and not giving us that. There's gonna be news on that. We're gonna put
we're gonna cover it here. When you're ready to break that news, we're gonna cover it here. I'm just building up the suspense for it, Sean. You know what I'm saying? All right. But the Cole memo says in the super chat says dangerous levels of THC. Reefer madness is alive, he says. And I agree with that. I mean, what are they talking about? Dangerous levels of THC. I want to know where poison control is at on this in regards to like what is a dangerous level of THC, because there is no amount of THC they're gonna overdose on and die from or whatnot. So what is really qualifying as a dangerous level? Because I think that's just straight gaslighting.
That's the point. They don't want it.
Yeah, they're saying any amount, right?
It's such
anything
bullshit.
Over 1%.
Yeah, total bullshit. And Brian Dombrowski in the chat, he says they filed SB 1505 the same day. SB 1505 is meant to give the keys to the kingdom over to the Texas original and everyone's favorite corporate cannabis CEO, Nico Richardson. And I was trying to find an article on this because I think with the bill that Brian is referencing is there was a bill that got put in to legalize cannabis for adult use and for medical in Texas during this same legislative process. And I couldn't find a story on it this morning. But I was trying to. So if you guys do out there in Texas, I know we have a lot of viewers in Texas. If you guys do find one, please send it over because we definitely would love to cover it. But yeah, this prohibition thing is not going to work. Do we know what the bill, the number of that bill was that was introduced, that this guy introduced that you're referencing, Sean?
Let me get it back up. My internet just crashed, but you had sent it to me. So
we all know you have a problem getting it back up. We all know.
That's a Viagra. That's the old guys need it.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Where's our Blue Chew sponsorship?
Exactly. We need a Blue Chew sponsorship. Well, any of those companies would be. Senate Bill 3, so SB 3. Okay, one thing I do know is that these low number bills. All right. In Texas legislature, how this whole Texas legislature thing works is that the small single-digit bills are considered must-pass bills.
But I have to give a shout-out to Troy Lawrence. He goes, Prop 215 and Measure D clubs with Disneyland of love. I agree. And he uses the absolute correct, I don't know if it would be an adjective or please, you grammar, please tell me. This mess is a retard of a regulation. I absolutely love that comment. Mm-hmm. What we have is retarded regulation put in by retards, and I don't care. Cancel.
Yeah, I agree with you. It is a lot of it is put in by a bunch of retards. You know what I'm saying? I'm not mad at that. I have no problem with the word retard. I have no problem saying it. No problem. You know what I'm saying? Telling people that they should identify as such. You know what I'm saying? For the actions that they choose, I have no problem with that.
You identify it quite often.
I have cerebral palsy, Sean. I can identify as a retard all the time, all the time. No problem.
You do it well.
Yeah, exactly. You know what I'm saying? Every time I park, all of that. You know what I'm saying?
I love you, Jason.
All right. Well, this was a great story. Thank you so much for covering this today, Sean. We're going to roll into our final commercial, and we're going to be right back.
Oh, man, your knees still bothering you, man?
Yeah, my left one, you know? And I'll tell you what, I've been using this new CBD cream, and it works like a miracle.
CBDs? I done heard about them CBDs. I was out there on them Twitters the other day, and I heard they get you high as a kite.
Well, not this stuff. This stuff is tested. Every batch, all the way through, pharmaceutical grade, and in a GMP certified facility. So you know you're not going to have to worry about flying high.
GMP certified? I might have to try some of this out. Where I'm even find this?
You go directly to aimhighhemp.com and they will ship it to your door right away. Tested. It's not a name, it's a promise.
Anyways. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, they were already doing that. And nonetheless, we are back anyways, Sean, we always have the greatest conversation, Sean. Great to have you back. And shout out to Aim High and everything you guys are doing out there in the great state of Texas. But let me tell you something what's going on, Sean. This is probably going to piss you off because they still haven't found that $40,000 in Michigan. But that was supposed to be allocated for veterans. But Michigan is to distribute nearly $100 million in marijuana tax revenue, you guys. And what will your city get? That's right. Lansing will get $1.4 million in marijuana revenue sharing dollars, the third most of any other city or township in Michigan, when the Michigan Department of Treasury distributes a total of nearly $100 million in marijuana tax revenue among 302 local entities and tribes, the department said on Friday. Each eligible municipality and county will receive a little more than $58,000 for every licensed retail store and micro business based on revenue collected from the 10% adult use marijuana excise tax. That's about the same as what municipalities and counties received last year when 269 municipalities split $87 million in marijuana tax revenue. Michigan's marijuana industry has seen tremendous growth since legalization, and while California remains the biggest market in dollars, Michigan was recognized last year as selling more marijuana than any other state. That's because they did it on a per capita basis, you guys. The state sold $240 million worth of adult use marijuana in January of 2024 and $246 million in January of 2025, a 2.5% increase. But buyers purchased almost 100,000 pounds more in January this year than last year, a 25% increase, showing a continued decrease in prices for marijuana, which experts have said is linked to a maturing state industry. Well, that's because you got all those Ohioans driving up to Detroit and everything too, but nonetheless. Detroit received the most tax revenue of any city last year, marking the first time it received tax revenue from marijuana sales after sales of adult use marijuana started in the city in early of 2023. Wayne County once again will get the most tax revenue of any other county this year at $5 million, and marijuana billboards near the border keep begging Ohio drivers to come and buy Michigan weed. Although Ohio's adult use marijuana sales began in August, the state could eventually compete with Michigan, but prices in the newer market remain far higher. Well, first of all, they already are competing, and Michigan is eating Ohio's lunch. So what is this article even talking about? New this year, 4 federally recognized tribes in Michigan will split more than $930,000 as part of a recent change in the state law, the department said. And they say in a quote, municipalities, counties, and tribes certainly benefit from their local cannabis businesses in many ways, including good paying jobs, community involvement, and increased revenues for important priorities in their budget. Brian Hanna, executive director of Michigan's Cannabis Regulatory Agency, said in a news release, this portion of the the excise tax revenue makes a direct impact in the communities where our licenses work and live, he says. Aside from nearly $100 million in disbursements to municipalities, counties, and tribes, more than $116 million was sent to the School Aid Fund for K-12 education, and another $116 million to the Michigan Transportation Fund. Here are the 12 municipalities that received the most money. We got Detroit coming in at $3.1 million, Grand Rapids and Ann Arbor at $1.5 million, Lansing at $1.4 million, Kalamazoo at $1.1 million, Monroe at $1 million, Battle Creek $932,000, and Traverse County and Yesaplanti, Coldwater, Bay City, and Bangor Township are getting $757,000. And other Lansing area municipalities like Ingham County is getting $1.8 million, and 31 locations in East Lansing is getting $291,000, and 5 locations in Eaton County are getting $175,000. 3 locations in Charlotte are receiving $175,000, and 3 locations in Lisley are receiving $58,228. And 1 location in Weberville is receiving the $58,228 as well, and 1 location in Clinton County. One location in Bath Township is receiving that same amount. And if you want to see the full list of municipalities and counties and tribes that will receive marijuana tax revenue, you can head over to michigan.gov/revenue sharing to find out where all of your tax revenues are going, you guys. And I can't wait to hear what you guys have to say about this.
Where's my $40 billion?
Bro, this it's in Gretchen Whitmer's campaign slush fund. I bet you it's been diverted through USAID or something like that. What you're on? I think you went on mute, Sean.
Am I on mute?
Oh no, never mind. You're good. You're good. I hear you now.
You fantasizing about shutting me up there, Jason?
No. I thought I saw your lips flapping, and all of a sudden I wasn't hearing nothing.
No comment. Listen, the problem with all this stuff is, the states are a cesspool of corruption, right and left. What we did, we put out a press release a while back on the $40 million given by the state when they legalized it. That was supposed to go to research that went to academic salaries, and they didn't even produce research. Now, it's kind of held in suspense now since we did that. So Maps and Rick Doblin, I don't know if my faith in them is as high as it used to be given what happened with MDMA and what they were trying to pull on that one. But they're still trying to, with Dr. Sisley, still to do that research, and hopefully they'll get that done soon. But again, it's, the whole system needs to be blown up.
You really have faith in them, huh?
No, none at all.
I have none. I have zero faith that they're going to get anything done. Personally.
This sounds to me, I get tired of...
It was worse than that. They weren't even accounting for it.
I get tired of hearing how this is just one of the things that cannabis always is. It's like, take all the money from all these patients and all these people who need weed and then spread it around. And it's like, it's just scratch your back money to make this all happen. I don't like that. I've never liked it. And it still just bothers the heck out of me that this is the only way we can get things done.
Go ahead, Sean. Go ahead.
Compare this to 215, what we've created out here, right? And I think it's pretty understood that most people enjoy 215 a hell of a lot more than we have now, this legal model. And then advance forward and realize that's our whole damn economy. This regulatory capture. So what we're being denied in cannabis, we see because we knew what the past was. But every economy we have, from pharma to auto to anything out there, has been captured like cannabis has. For all the people who don't understand that, we have been given the short end of the stick, and we're accepting of it. And it is shocking to me that they divide us into this left-right, and you've got literally idiots on both sides screaming, and the billionaires and the people in charge are taking everything from us, and we look like a bunch of idiots.
Well, in all fairness, Sean, I mean, we campaigned to these regulators and legislators saying, hey, this will be great revenue for your state. This will be great revenue for your city. And so, like, we be careful what you ask for. You might just get it. Like, we sold them that bill of goods in the whole legalization process.
We were very much against Prop 64 and the tax and regulate, if you remember. You're correct. The Soros minions, the little zombie Soros followers, ran around and made a bunch of promises they couldn't cash with their cash book. And now we got all the Elon people running around. Why do we have government by the few, the billionaires, for the fewer, the shareholders, at the expense of all of us? Why do we tolerate it?
Well, I think it's probably the golden rule, Sean. The one with the gold makes the rules.
Well, everyone's chasing that fantasy that they're going to get the gold, and they think they're going to be, as a bunch of poor people who think they're going to be a millionaire next week. That's our biggest problem.
Well, Trump and Elon are about to go and verify that the gold's actually in Fort Knox, and you know what I'm saying, this week. So that should be interesting.
I think you're right, Sean. I think that all this is a product of the green rush and people's concept of they thought that 10 years ago or even 5 years ago that they could just run into this industry and make a ton of money, and everyone got a little bit of a surprise, didn't they?
No, it should have been a surprise. Anyone with a basic econ degree or econ education, which everyone should have at least 1 or 2 classes, could have recognized the absolute economic fallacy Prop 64 and the tax and regulate was built on. It's given us nothing. It's given us worse than nothing. The absolute wealth destruction. Look at the wealth that has been destroyed in California over legal weed.
Right, unless you are in the hemp space. There's a guy on X. He goes by the Dank Informer. I don't know who it actually is, but he's been talking about how he's making this whole case that the legislators and senators in Washington have all made a deal to protect hemp, and that they knew that this was coming, and that they're all making money off of hemp, and that's what they've been letting this all screw itself, because who is making the most money in cannabis right now? Hemp people. Yeah.
Well, right. And a couple comments. One, I said Deschedule Now asked the question: why did young black and brown men vote conservative? I am not going to speak for black and brown men, but what I've seen, especially in the veteran population, is very diverse. And about 40% tend to be more left than right. So it's not a majority, but it's definitely not as skewed as a lot of people like to believe, because the Democrats failed. That's about it. How long do you have to be promised something that isn't fucking delivered? And are we allowed to say that anymore, Jason?
Yeah, you keep on going, Sean. Go ahead.
Isn't delivered before people look elsewhere. So the Democrats got to get their shit in gear. They don't represent it. They represent a machine, and they absolutely failed people, and that's how we ended up with Trump, which I by the way, I hope we have a great 4 years. I hope he does awesome. I hope he makes not only America great, but American people feel good again. I'm skeptical, as I'm skeptical with every politician. So it's not anti-Trump, but this has gotten to the point where, it's just unbearable.
Fair enough. Well, we are going to roll right into our final story of the day, and this is for all you fun guys out there. You know what I'm saying? You're gonna love this one, Jesse. Too much fungus among us? That's right. Mass marijuana workers grapple with moldy cannabis concerns, you guys. That's right. The Massachusetts Cannabis Control Commission, the CCC, released a report earlier this month that warned of mold in some marijuana products. Still, some labs and cannabis advocates say the problem is far more widespread than regulators are letting on. And in the consumer advisory issued on February 3rd, the CCC said there were new health and safety concerns regarding some retail marijuana products that were sold between May 31st of 2024 and January 23rd of 2025. But so far, no illnesses have been publicly reported and no products have been recalled. However, some cannabis testing facilities and worker advocates say far more needs to be done to keep consumers and even retailers safe from moldy marijuana products. In a quote, they say, "We think that the problem is significant," said Christopher Hodulia, PhD and founder, chief scientific officer at Pro Verde Laboratories in Milford. In a quote, they say, "They've never done a recall due to safety concerns identified in the state of Massachusetts. Is that because Massachusetts products never have any safety concerns? Absolutely not," said Hodula. "It's because they're not willing to take action. We have provided our concerns regarding hundreds of samples, and very few have been investigated until recently." Hodula said in a test of 100 retail samples, over 55% failed, and well over half the samples submitted do not pass the state's own criteria for safety, he said. And of course, there are health concerns, you guys, because experts say moldy marijuana can cause a slew of health problems, including respiratory issues, allergic reactions, and fungal infections. People with a weakened immune system, such as cancer patients, are at the most significant risk for adverse effects, and a 2020 study published by the Centers for Disease Control found that cannabis users are 3.5 times more likely to get fungal infections. The CCC advisory included a chart with the affected strains, batch numbers, and retailers, and the commission told consumers to check the chart to see if their product may be contaminated and to contact the dispensary where they purchased it. Consumers and patients that possess any of the affected products may destroy it or return it to the store where they purchased it for proper disposal, the commission said. And regulators also said anyone experiencing adverse health effects after consuming the affected product should seek medical attention and notify the retailer. Protecting consumers and workers, while it may be tempting to simply pick off an area with visible mold, it's not recommended. Plus, Hadula said the type of mold present in cannabis products tends to be invisible to the naked eye. In a quote, he says, "You can't see it. The majority of what we see in the Massachusetts market is mold that grows in the plant tissue. It doesn't grow on the plant," said Hadula. A major problem making matters worse in lab shopping, Hadula said, as high competition has led some testing facilities to underreport the levels of mold contamination. By cheating the system, they're cheating consumers who are being put at risk because laboratories are producing fraudulent data, he said. And Danny Carson, a Massachusetts cannabis workers' rights advocate, told Boston.com that many cannabis employees have told him they've suffered from chronic coughs, skin rashes, headaches, and asthma-like symptoms after prolonged exposure to poor air quality and contaminated products. He said employers frequently fail to provide proper protective equipment or address air quality concerns, worsening the risk. And in a quote, "Unfortunately, these concerns are often ignored or dismissed by employers," Carson said. And Carson said he first became aware of mold and yeast contamination while working in the cannabis industry. His first position was at the now shuttered True Leave in Holyoke, where he worked alongside Lorna McNerney, the 27-year-old worker from Springfield who died in January of 2022 due to an on-the-job asthma attack. And McMurley's family filed a wrongful death suit claiming she died as a result of exposure to cannabis dust and mold, and hers was the first reported occupational asthma death in the U.S. cannabis industry. And Truly basically got off with a slap on the wrist on that one, but nonetheless, since McMurney's death, Carson has dedicated his efforts to advocating for better working conditions across the industry, and he says transparency and accountability are critical for workers to feel comfortable reporting unsafe conditions without fear of retaliation. And on top of that, consumers deserve to know what cannabis they purchase has been rigorously tested, he said. And in a quote, "The lack of protections for both cannabis workers and consumers drove me to advocate for change," he says. Workers are regularly exposed to hazardous conditions, poor ventilation, high levels of airborne contaminants, and direct contact with moldy products without proper protective equipment or oversight, Carson said. In an additional quote, he says, "At the same time, contaminated products frequently make it to store shelves, meaning consumers unknowingly purchase cannabis with dangerously high yeast and mold levels, and this is a direct result of weak enforcement and inconsistent lab testing," he said, changing the system. And so what needs to change to ensure that safe cannabis products for Massachusetts consumers? Well, Carson believes there must be stronger air quality and worker safety regulations, stricter enforcement of lab testing standards and whistleblower protections for workers, and a public recall and contamination reporting system, and more robust standardized safety and quality control protocols. And Carson is currently working with legislators and advocacy groups to push for bills that will address their concerns. And in a quote, they say, "The future of Massachusetts cannabis industry depends on transparency, accountability, and a commitment to high safety standards," he said. "Massachusetts has the opportunity to set the national standard for cannabis safety, but regulators must take action. And workers are the first to identify contamination and safety hazards, yet they are often ignored or worse, punished for speaking up. And this industry can only be sustainable if we prioritize worker safety and consumer health over profit," he says. Padula says he's hopeful but doubtful the situation will improve anytime soon, and unfortunately the regulators don't appear to be either willing or capable of doing their job, he said. When asked for a comment on the CCC, spokesperson said the state's testing facilities are held to some of the highest standards in the nation, and that the commission conducts routine inspections of all labs and marijuana retailers. And they also said the commission follows up on any complaints from patients, consumers, or stakeholders, they say. And in December, the commission said it was tightening testing reporting on data analysis in Massachusetts through an administrative order set to take effect in April. And as part of the order, regulators will require all licensees to submit one test sample package to a single independent laboratory for all compliance testing of marijuana products. And Massachusetts cannabis testing landscape will continue to evolve as the regulated industry matures. And the spokesperson said the agency remains vigilant in its efforts to ensure consumers and patients have access to fully tested, safe products in the legal marketplace, you guys. Well, I just think this is a whole bunch of gaslighting on Massachusetts' part, because this sounds like a whole bunch of BS of them trying to fix a problem when they don't want to fix the problem. The reality is the fact that True Leaf got off with just under a $10,000 fine from OSHA for a death in their facility is just totally ridiculous to me. How people can say that these government agencies are accountable and they're doing the will of the people and this and this and that, when all that they're worried about doing is collecting the tax revenue and putting it into their coffers and funneling it out to themselves afterwards, in my opinion. And I also know of a patient who has purchased cannabis from retails in Massachusetts, and they have developed health problems from this, and they have medical records to prove it and everything. And so this is definitely a big problem. And maybe they need Mr. Weed for the People, Mr. Elliot Lewis, to come out there and bring Catalyst out to Massachusetts, just so then that way they can get some Cat 4 and really get their testing a little bit more under control from the retailers forcing the hand of the testing labs, because the testing labs aren't going to force their hand themselves. And this is Jason Beck for High at 9 News, and I can't wait to hear what you guys have to say about this.
Jesse, you want to take that, or you want me to take it?
I mean, moldy weed is a huge problem, and I don't even think people know how huge of a problem it is. It's everywhere. Even in states where the humidity levels are great for growing weed without mold, it's still hard for a lot of people. It comes down to genetics. It comes down to your rooms. It comes down to the humidity. It comes down to how people walk in and out and what kind of protocols you have. There's so many factors involved with moldy weed, and it's so prevalent. In Massachusetts, I'm just trying to figure out what their average humidity levels are, and it's well above 60, it looks like, to 70% on average in most of Massachusetts. So you're just gonna, in that kind of a humid environment, you're just gonna fight it and fight it and fight it and fight it and fight it without just massive dehumidifiers and all kinds of protocols. It's just going to be almost impossible to get rid of, which is why we should have interstate commerce, and weed should be grown in very, very low humid areas, and we should ship it to other states. And California is probably the best state for that.
I agree with that.
100%. Yeah. Well, you bring up some excellent points. A couple things I would make a comment on is, one, how credible is cannabis testing, or is it performative? And a little anecdotal story. I was playing poker, and there's a CEO of a cannabis flower grower and a testing CEO there. They know each other. He goes, Joe, and I'll use the name, why did you stop testing with me? And the grower said, because the guy down the street gives me a few higher THC points and fails me a whole hell of a lot less. One, can you even have testing as a private enterprise for a government good? Or is it always going to be corruptible?
It's always going to be corrupt.
Right. So the thing. Two, all we hear is the licensed cannabis industry and the government say, well, our weed's tested. Yet press release after press release is doing recalls. And I don't know about other states, but in California, we're doing recalls on weed that's been smoked already by everybody. Thank you very much, Nicole Elliott. You did a great job with that. So the question really becomes is it performative, or does it matter? And then on the mold issue, remember when NIDA got caught with moldy weed, given Sue for her research? The researchers, this was their answer. If you smoke the weed, it kills the mold spores, no issue.
I mean,
I don't know.
I'm not mad at that. That's kind of funny. That's kind of funny. You know what I mean? The only thing is that all on your inhale, I'm pretty sure that you're sucking in some mold spores at the same time. Just like how they say that when you light it, you're inhaling butane molecules or whatnot. You know what I'm saying, from the lighter, and this and this and that, and so these people are just going to say anything that's convenient for their argument. So you can't trust them at all. You can't trust them as far as you can throw them.
Trust those NIH. Hey, listen, the positive about the NIH, as I said, Reefer Madness's sugar daddy is going on a forced diet. I will congratulate Elon Musk for that. These dick brains who publish nonsensical correlation studies that are way more propaganda than science. It's about time we held some of these researchers accountable.
I should say Hawaii Sustainable did make a great point. There are parts of Hawaii that are just as great as a lot of parts of California for growing. Some of it, not much.
Hawaii's very small. Hawaii's very small. Very small.
The Big Island's pretty big. I think it could grow quite a bit.
Very small.
I think it could go quite a bit.
Very small.
And it's got the dry side.
Very small.
There's not a ton of stuff over there.
Very small, and then you have to like pay to have it shipped all the way, you know what I'm saying, across the Pacific. That's a 5-hour flight, bro. That's a lot of jet fuel. You know what I'm saying? These greenies are never going to be for that.
We ship stuff from China all day. That seems like no problem.
Just saying. These greenies always complaining about jet fuel. Anything else, Sean, Jesse, on this?
Grow your own. Oh, and you know what, Sean? You know what I would say to the person that says, "Oh, smoke the mold spores and they just burn up"? Well, why don't you pack a bowl full of mold and smoke it up and see what happens?
I'd boof it before I smoke it.
I bet. And on that, we're gonna sign off, you guys. Thank you all for joining us and getting high at 9 with us every Monday through Friday at 9 a.m. Pacific and high noon on the East Coast. Big shout out to our audience and supporters for tuning in daily and listening to the insanity that is the developing cannabis industry. Huge thank you to Aim High Hemp Distribution and Catalyst for helping us keep the lights on over here, and thank you to our correspondents for being absolutely amazing. Thank you to Cannabis Sativa L for giving us a reason to do all this, and thank you to Cloud Media Partners Anthony out there in the metaverse holding it down, and thank you all for tuning in and getting high at 9 with us. We are America's #1 daily cannabis news show.